Hi everybody, how you doing? Happy Friday. We are here once again with episode 12. 12 episodes. And I discovered there was kind of a episode that I counted as an episode. So it's kind of like 11 and a half, but I'm going to say 12. But we're moving right along. Today's going to be a super fun show. We've got Mr. Spencer Munson joining us here in just a minute, but I want to remind folks to go ahead and tune in and share this as much as possible. We've seen some really great results from different companies talking about it and different organizations sharing it. So please do your part and share it for me if you would. That'd be awesome. And I'm going to just kind of log on to check the comments here so we can. Yeah. So if you have any comments, please do so. We love feedback and kind of talking back and forth. So yeah, let's get started. Thank you so much. Hold on, I got like 7 things going on at once. 1 second. I'm getting my studio fixed today, so I've got like construction guys texting me as I'm on the talk show. This is where we're at as a technological person. Okay, sorry. Unprofessional texting during talk shows will not fly. But anyway, here's my buddy joining us right here, Mr. Spencer Munson. I'm taking text messages. You know, I don't care. This is all manners fly out the window here.
We're in the age of multitasking.
Thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah, I've got
man,
a computer here, my phone here. I'm streaming with you. It's all, we all do it.
I know. I get it bad from my wife when we're eating dinner, and it's like, I know it's going to come soon where they're just going to embed something in my veins, and I can just feel when I get a message from somebody. It's coming. It's coming, man. Well, thanks for joining us. Spencer Munson in the house with Jazz in June, Lincoln Calling. Geez, you name it. You do like 8,000 things in Lincoln. You're a go-getter. You do the concert down at the Hub. You help with that with Susan Rodenberg. What else am I missing? The Mill series.
I've worked with the Mill, Lincoln Exposed, of course. It's a collaborative effort.
Lincoln Exposed.
Usually on that team.
Right.
Trying to just help out as much as I can with, not only like getting our musicians jobs, but also like activating cool spaces. I was really excited that Parks really got on board, and Susan's been a great leader as far as getting Union Plaza activated. So,
yes,
excited
that's
about
huge,
that.
man.
Yeah,
that's big. Well, that area was built, to do stuff like that, and it when it was built, the ability to have booze down there was the big catch. And they had to. So Doug, early on, I worked with Doug to figure out how he can expand that liquor license, which was huge for him. And now you guys. So that's really awesome. And Doug is so amazing. He owns the Hub in Lincoln here, and just an incredible guy. So good on all that. I think that's incredible what is happening down there, and they're finally using it like you said. That's really cool.
Yeah, and props. Brendan just piped in. Props to Party in the Parks for initially, getting that ball rolling. I think they had a really great family event. And we're just lucky that, the city's been able to work with us and allow the Hub to do alcohol, and Parks is helping us with some of that fundraising too. So, great. Love it.
Yeah, man. Brendan Evans was on the show a couple weeks ago. What a guy. Cool. What a cool cat he is. Yeah, I love him. So, awesome. Well, this is great that you kindly joined me today. Basically, I want to pick your brain on a lot of things, but I think the biggest thing, Jazz in June's coming up.
Yeah.
And we all know, here we are in the middle of a pandemic. So, the entertainment industry has essentially disintegrated before our eyes. So tell me about how you reacted to the COVID thing, and what was your initial, what did you do?
My initial, I slept for probably a good week.
Oh my gosh.
Honestly, I was really blue. I had a hard time kind of imagining the complete collapse of everything. I was a DJ, I'm an event producer, I help out bars, like all of those industries are so intertwined, and
Yeah.
yeah, they fell apart. And so, my first reaction was a little bit of depression. My second reaction was, I've got to get music to the people one way or another. And so
Yeah.
the first way was, I'm gonna call up all my video game buddies and learn how to use Twitch.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. They were
And you're,
they were the trendsetters.
yeah, it was kind of funny, but folks like yourself were very helpful. Vince, BCN.
Oh
But
yeah.
you rely on your friends, and luckily we have such a cool community that was just really open to sharing ideas and helping each other learn the technology. And that was kind
Yeah.
of the first step was, all right, I can't connect with people in person. What do I got to learn? What do I got to do to connect with people immediately? And that was,
Hmm.
I've got all this music around me, and it was first, how can I share that music? And so I was able to DJ for the first time with my friend Charlie. We did like a 4-hour stream, and
Those are so fun.
I had not only
Yeah.
our friends that come out to our dance parties regularly here, but I had my old English teacher and my parents and people from all over the country tuning in and getting joy out of that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
immediately I saw the potential. We're missing our community, but we can also expand our community. We can find ways to connect former Nebraskans. We can find ways to connect our family to what we do who aren't normally able to tune in. And so I was starting to learn this technology, figuring out all the ways in which we can make this happen. And, um,
Yeah.
it also, as somebody that kind of exists on development and sponsorships, I was having a huge realization that that money wasn't going to come in as it usually does either. And so that's part of that depression is, okay, first of all, I can't connect with people. I can't high five them. I can't see them dance or dance with them. But now I have to have these difficult conversations with funders who are also having difficult inner conflicts with where should my money go? And of course, it should first and
Hmm.
foremost go towards the people most in need, the human resources,
Hmm.
the folks that are without food, without jobs, without healthcare. And so I
Hmm.
understood that, but those were difficult conversations to have too. And also to spin it, I don't want to spin it, I don't want to say that it's manipulative, but to get folks to realize that these events are COVID relief. These We
Hmm.
need music.
Huge.
People need music in their
Right.
lives. People that are in the music industry are without jobs, without health care. How can
Hmm.
we give back to those folks? How can we get money into their hands? And I think having conversation with sponsors and getting to realize that they still need to continue their support of the arts because that is the industry hit hardest by this.
Hmm.
um, was that first month was a little depression, a little bit of joy, and then the realization of having those tough conversations and still finding a way to make that money and then put the money into the artist's hands. So
Right. Well, that's a huge point that you touched on towards the end there of mental health. I think that, as we see the numbers are skyrocketing with suicide and people hurting themselves and just going into dark depression and stuff like this. And
yeah,
that's and not only that, people are losing their apartments. I think the apartment relief lifts on the 31st or something like that. So it's going to get even worse.
yeah, right,
Um, so for somebody to call their home, the Zoo Bar, which so many do, or Duffy's, which so many do, the Bourbon, which so many do, on 1867, you name it, any club
yeah,
downtown, which
right,
so many do, that, you take that away from them, and then the 1-2 punches that they lose their finances too. It's such a
right.
huge thing, and so how how can we bring the entertainment? So what did you so you not only learned how to bring it to them online, but you also
Yeah.
run some festivals. How did you put these pieces together to run the festivals like that?
Well, I'm super fortunate that we had I have some team members that jumped to the opportunity, that were knowledgeable, know how, and put in the time on top of their day to day 9 to 5 to really help me do this. I mean, it was a team effort. The Lincoln Calling team is amazing.
Cool.
Also, a number of friends that just were really helpful. We had a great relationship with the Basement Creators Network previously, already started to integrate them into Lincoln Calling last year. And so that was a natural conversation of let's help each other out. They had a great platform, and it was, all right, this seems like the natural fit moving forward. We scaled down our budgets. We moved our live production budget into a digital production budget. And then we focused on not, I think my focus for Lincoln Calling and Jazz in June has been about bringing larger than life artists to Lincoln, or bringing um, genres and personalities that are, Lincoln has this space theme. They're otherworldly. They're bringing new ideas and culture to Lincoln. And while that's a great idea, I think the focus now has to be how can we support the folks that are already in Lincoln doing great things that need it. We can't travel, we can't tour, but we have that talent here, and we've always tried to lift that talent up in all of our events, but now it's the focus. And
Yeah.
so we went and found the best and the brightest, the folks that, of course, were being creative with the technology, were willing to learn, wanted to get their music out there. And it was just finding those folks that we already had in our back pocket as friends, as colleagues, and using the platform. We have very fortunate that Jazz Jude is 29 years old and beloved, and that I am able to have that platform to connect with people. And Lincoln Calling's the same way. I just feel lucky that we have the social media and the institution that we can pivot and we can still produce quality material. So
Yeah. That's incredible, by the way. And it's such a joy to finally see, these festivals happening, and not only that, the community's supporting with their finances, they're donating, people are raising money. So, these are all optimistic things. But have you noticed some things spawn from the detriment of this position that we're in? Have you noticed, better ways to communicate or even connect with somebody nationwide? I mean, bringing in like national artists on some
yeah,
of these.
I think it
I
was
mean, why not?
cool.
They're all online, I mean,
Yeah,
sky's the
right.
limit.
Yeah, and I think with Lincoln Calling, I've thought about that with Jazz in June. We're like, let's go hit up some of our favorite Jazz in June alum, ask them to produce
Hmm.
videos and make it something, unique and special. But it's a combination of both. I think with Lincoln Calling, we did our little streamathon a couple weeks ago, and
Hmm.
it was identifying all, not only local musicians, but also some of those touring musicians that regularly visit Lincoln, our family of Duffies in the Zoo Bar, our former Nebraskans, and our those musicians that are touring 200 to 300 days a year. I
Hmm.
think I wanted to realize that there are folks that don't live in Lincoln that are still our family and still are hit really hard. And so we went after the White Mysteries, the Pleasures, the John Dell, Boneheart Flanagans,
Oh,
and we're
yeah,
able
sure.
to connect with them in New York, Florida, and Chicago.
That's great.
Have
I
a
love
little
it.
bit of an email conversation, maybe a video chat, and say, "Hey, are you up for
Yeah.
this?"
Yeah.
And so that kind of brings that connectivity back together too, and gives us some empathy for folks that are struggling even more so in larger metropolitan areas.
Yeah, that's huge. And I mean, just to be able to think how to connect them on a national, international scales
Yeah.
is so neat. I thought
Hmm.
that opened up a lot of cool doors in my mind on how to bring people in, and yeah, seeing local people do that, that's been cool. I like that element a lot. So let me ask you this. I guess the obvious question for people like you and I organize festivals just like you do, and we've
We
actually
have
worked together
together.
on, yeah, Nebraska Folk and Roots,
Uh-huh.
and so where do you see it going? I mean, what do you think about these efforts to? And let me switch for into the performing mindset.
Hmm.
I don't personally want to be the first band to say, "Hey, I'm doing it. Come on,
Yeah,
everybody,"
right.
because of that. that nasty backlash. But at the same time, we all are. I'll tell you, I'm getting emails asking to play this summer already, and it's
From
like,
me.
well, yes, from you and from a few. It's true, but you didn't come to mind, but you are one of those. But I'm just saying, like these people are wanting entertainment again, and there's this weird like, do I do it or do I not? Like, do I put my people, my fans, and my people through that? I don't know. I mean, that's where do you see that going, and what do you think about these drive-through shows
Sure.
that
I
people are
think
doing, which is really interesting.
it is, yeah. I think you've got to give people options. You've got to let them ease into it themselves. And so I think you ask the bands what their comfort level is, you ask your audience what their comfort level is, and give them options. For instance, in
Yeah,
dealing with some of these streams that we've been doing with BCN and we will continue to do with Jazz in June, it's kind of asking the artists, do you want to be streaming from the comfort of your own home? Are you okay to come to this venue with nobody in it and spread out awkwardly on stage, potentially even wear masks while you perform? What are those comfort levels? You just have to have those conversations. And I think it's a combination of both. For instance, I think things like Hub and Soul and potential concerts at maybe the Rail Yard or open spaces
right.
allow bands and patrons to have that space that they need.
Yeah,
And so I
right.
think, weather pending, which has been brutal to us in the past,
Yeah,
um,
right.
I think we can still do this combination of, all right, I'm going to venture out with my mask and view this from afar and still be able to see a live production, whether it's in my car in a drive-up
Hmm.
theater sense, or it's, you see things like in Central Park, they're drawing circles in Central Park that you can sit in and
Oh,
space
wow.
out.
No kidding.
Yeah, and so, I think it's going to be a combination. I think it's going to take we're not going to jump right back into it. It's going to take some time. But
Hmm.
I do think that, people are figuring out how to be safe, how to walk around with your sanitizer and wear your mask, and that we
Hmm.
can still be in public. And I think it'll hopefully, as the crisis subsides, we start getting, of course, hopefully we have a vaccine in the next 6 months to a year. But I see a combination of both. Like, Jazz in June, hopefully, only happens once a year. So by next year, I think we already were streaming the concerts through KZUM. We're going to give people
Great.
options. They can show up and spread out at Sheldon, or they can stay in and tune in at home. Lincoln Calling, I think, is also going to be that. We're going to potentially utilize shutting down streets and parking lots more. We're going to use our larger venues more. And but also, I think the hope is that we're going to stream all of those or stream our main stages so that people, if they want to stay home, you pay $25 to be there in person. You pay $10 to get the video stream.
Yeah,
There's still
yeah,
ways I think that you can monetize it, that you can still be a part of that community and still interact. It's just going to be slow. The next 6 months to a year are going to be weird, and it's going to be a lot of trial and error. And I think you just have to be empathetic and compassionate. You can't rush into it bullheaded, and you've got to give everybody options.
yeah, yeah. So is the did I hear you right? Are you not going to stream at Sheldon this year, or is that possibly next year? That might be
Yeah, I
possibly
think
next year.
possibly next year. This year, we
Okay, okay.
decided to move into a basement creator studio space.
Got you,
We'll
got you.
be
Okay.
using I don't really want to publicize it because I don't want people to show up, but we're going to be using a local venue to help
Yeah,
support the venue, to make it easy for our streaming partners, and have the space that the bands can feel comfortably spread out as well. I think the
fantastic.
worry with being on the Sheldon is that people will still show up, and right now
He'll
I
still
don't
come.
think
Yeah.
yeah, right now I don't think that that's
Yep.
something that we should play around with.
Those steps aren't in place to unless
Yeah.
we invest into a family tether that they could all connect and kids won't run away and
Right.
brothers and sisters won't run away.
Yeah, and it's
Hey, who
difficult when you're
knows, man?
dealing with kids. They don't, Jazz in June is such a family event. Um,
Right.
I think the youth doesn't really understand what's going on in a lot of ways. Why are my parents wearing masks? Why
It's
can't
been
I go play
difficult.
with my friends?
Yeah.
I'm sure you're dealing that with your children. Like they want to
Yeah.
go play with the neighbor kids, and you're like, I don't know where those neighbor kids
Right.
have been. So yeah,
Well, it's been a huge issue with us and trying to explain it in the right way without
yeah, right,
fear, without,
yeah,
just
right,
trying to be knowledgeable and explaining how germs happen and how you can, you know, contagion and all this kind of thing. It's a weird thing, and
yeah,
when kids are told that they can't go to school anymore,
yeah, right,
that's scary. It's like, why? There's so
yeah,
many questions, and so we did the best we could to explain that. But yeah, I mean, the Bay just dropped a half pipe off across the street from my house, and if
yay,
for those that
cool.
don't know, a half pipe is a skate ramp for skateboarding. And all of a
Yeah,
sudden, I look out my window and I'm like, my dream has come true. Somebody did it, you know. And they
yeah,
dropped a half pipe, and sure enough, it was like flies, like kids everywhere, just woof, you know,
yeah,
just bounced on that thing like crazy.
right,
And the first panic that comes to mind as a parent is like, yeah, like you said, like, where have those kids been? Where here the parents
yeah,
are standing close too, and it's like they're all touching the same skate ramp, but it's like
yeah.
at some point, you just have to kind of close your eyes and hope for the best, and then when they get home, you just scrub them down. And yeah, so hopefully they didn't face plant and lick the ramp. You know what I
Well,
mean?
it's
So,
yeah, it's a good thing that I mean we're hearing that surfaces aren't as contagious as sneezing and coughing, and I
right,
think the Bay's doing talk about somebody that did an amazing job of pivoting. The Bay,
right,
and
right.
for someone that's based on a space and in-person contact, the Bay has done a really amazing job of giving kids an opportunity to do the digital, but rewarding them with that physical sense of bringing that skate ramp to their home. And so it
So cool.
also,
What a
yeah,
great idea.
it's
Great idea.
yeah, props to them for sure.
Yeah, that's so awesome. So we've got a comment here from Mr. Samuel Segrist, a teacher here in
Yeah.
Lincoln. He's a high school teacher here in Lincoln.
Huh?
He said, "I'm looking forward to finding out how Lincoln Calling can happen safely this year." So it's so many people are rooting for live music to happen.
Yeah.
The key word there is safely, right? And it's going to take the
Yeah.
community to kind of trickle back. And I think it's like you said, it's gonna be slow, but yeah.
Well, and I think we're switching up. LC can be a lot of different things. It doesn't have to be specifically a festival at a specific time. And we're realizing that we have a lot of talent on our team. We have a lot of talent in our city, and we can showcase that in a number of different ways. And we had a lot of success a couple weeks ago with a streaming event. We had another little streaming event last night, and we're realizing that we can produce
Mhm.
these little segments with our local artists, with our local educators, periodically until we are able to come together in a normal fashion. And so we're going to continue, I think, to work on programming like that, maybe every 6 weeks, potentially producing little mini fests to keep people
Nice.
engaged and to keep having those conversations and keeping the music alive. But also just taking cues. I think we can't make a hard decision now. It's going to be a gradual decision. We have to take
Mhm.
cues from the city, from other events that are going to go on this summer with the university. What's the university going to do? Because if there's no
Mhm.
students in Lincoln, I mean, for us, a huge majority of our patrons are students and young professionals. And if they're
Mhm.
stuck at home or not even in Lincoln because they're studying from wherever they may be, that's
Mhm.
going to be an issue too, is that we're not going to be able to sell tickets. So, I think right now we're going to wait a month. We're not making any concrete decisions. We are hopeful because it is so far out that we can produce something, and I think it's going to be a combination of live and streaming. I think, we have the open spaces And we now have the technological know-how and the partners. So it's gonna be something. It's not gonna be canceled. And I
Right.
hope that it is. I hope that it is more in person, but I think it can be a cool mix of in person and streaming events.
I think so too. The tools are at our fingertips now, and
Hmm.
sky's the limit. I think it's opened up a lot of doors, and like I was telling you earlier, this whole thing, talking to you virtually in your incredible pile of records, like you're sitting in right now, like this is a new thing for me, and I really enjoy it. This is it's opened up a lot of doors for me, and I think it's going to do the same for you. Um, and we do what we do, and you're never going to change. Spencer Munson is always going to be the party bringer, like you always have been. You're the go-to guy, man. It's so awesome that you came on today to do this.
Well,
And
thank
Lincoln
you.
is very, very lucky to have you. Absolutely,
Well, the
for sure.
feelings are mutual. We were just talking on Facebook too. We're finding these really cool little passion projects that we can dive in. We both feel, I think, very passionate about the history of Nebraska's
Hmm.
music as well. And so, um,
For sure.
looking forward, I think there's talks with working with the public libraries, with the Nebraska Music Hall of Fame, with entities like Lincoln Calling and Here
Hmm.
Nebraska. How can we create a story too? I mean, we've hit a bump in the road, but there is a storied history of joy and success, and this will be a part of that history. And I'm
Hmm.
excited to focus on some of that storytelling as well.
Well, it's huge. I think the big thing with the Nebraska Performing Arts Hall of Fame is, to archive things, and I
Yeah.
think that's where that's where all of these come into play. I mean, now I'm seeing myself interviewing legendary bands, and
Hmm.
getting all those people in the same room is like, it just gives me shivers to think about, because
Yeah.
it's like all the
Mhm.
stories that they used to laugh about on the road, or all the stories that they laugh about when they get together at reunions, and I'm giving them the opportunity to archive it, and
Yeah.
we as a community have embraced that. And I think there's so much more to happen from that, and I can't wait to delve into that more with you too. I think the history of what my father being in in one of the arguably one of the very first rock bands in Nebraska,
Sure.
uh, and to where we are now, uh, having how many
Hundreds of
thousands of
bands. Yeah.
killer Nebraska bands that
Uh-huh.
followed suit, to picking up a guitar, or to picking up a record player, and making sounds with it.
Yep.
So it's killer, man. I think the history in Nebraska is strong, and we will prevail. And I think that keep doing and keep thinking is what we need. And Vince Rule said partnerships, creative partnerships. That's key, man. No doubt.
Yes. Yes.
And Vince Rule from Basement Creators Network is crushing it. I think that
Yep.
they have dialed in how to get the good sound. I mean, I'm on the search just like anybody else. The
Yeah.
best sound, the best video.
Hmm.
When you make noise collectively, not just through discussion. Right now, we sound pretty decent vocally, but when you start adding guitars and music, it's just like it's totally a different ballgame.
Well, and that's
So,
been interesting learning about all the technology is these like compression rates and what freedom you have within the technology that you're using and the costs, and those have all been really interesting hurdles to get through, and they've done a cool
mhm.
job. And yeah, we're going to produce 5 weeks with Basement Creators. It's going to be super high quality
Nice,
audio and video for Jazz
nice.
in June. And then the artists are also going to produce kind of on their own. We're going to do a little post production, but many of the artists are going to produce little education segments to keep with the mission of education in Jazz in June too. So not
Great,
only
great.
look out for every Tuesday from 7 to 8, starting next Tuesday with Misan Jix. Um, Jazz in June, really amazing performances, but we're going to be releasing little short education videos that will accompany those as well.
Nice. And what's the a place they can go to find out more information online? Facebook/website.
Yeah,
I was just gonna pull that up real
jazzandjune.com.
quick.
We've got Jazz and June all updated with the artist information. But most of all the stream will be located on Facebook, either through KZUM, through Jazz in June, and also the Basement Creators YouTube and Facebook. So there are multiple platforms that we're shooting it to, which is really cool as well. We're not beholden to one person's Facebook or one person's YouTube. You're going to be able to tune in to Jazz in June on multiple platforms, with high
Very nice.
quality. So I'm excited.
Nice. Oh man, that's great. Yeah, we're bringing it to as many pathways as we can, right?
Yeah, right.
So yeah, so that's the word, folks. If you if you have any information or you need information, reach out to one of us. I'm sure we can help you, but it's everywhere. I mean, we're trying to put it out there as best we can. Social media has been our friend, and the internet's been our friend, and that's kind of what we're all leaning on at the moment. So cool, man. Anything else? This has been awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. Like I said earlier, we could talk for hours, but man, you're doing great things, and I think as we move as a people, things are going to adjust, and hopefully we get back to that point where we're all celebrating shoulder to shoulder and throwing arms up in the air.
The shape of jazz to come.
There you go. There you go. Oh, Arnett Coleman. Oh yeah, that's some of the best stuff there.
I always love this title, "The Shape of Jazz to Come," because it's always evolving. And that's, I think jazz and our situation now are parallel because of the improvisation that we have to do. We've improvised over the last couple of months, and we're making something great.
Now you've got to make that your thing now. Like every time you need something, you just grab, you just get your drink over here, get your burger back here. That's great. Yes. Well, thank you so much, man. Virtual high fives to you, and much love to your camp and all your people. Sounds great. Like doing awesome things. So keep it up, and we'll keep on rocking in the free world. And keep in tune with the Jazz in June social media stuff and Lincoln Calling and all the other great things to come this summer.
Thanks a lot, Mike.
All right, buddy.
We'll talk to you soon.
All right, man. Cheers to you. Thanks again. All right. Bye-bye. That's Spencer Munson with Lincoln Calling and Jazz in June, and Hub and Soul. Man, the guy does so much stuff. He's all over the place. I love it. Very, very lucky. Lincoln is very lucky to have a person like him, and optimistic and such a go-getter. So, please do your part. If you have financial means to do your part, or if you know somebody that wants a great sponsorship, reach out to Spencer. And be a part of those events, because there's a lot of eyeballs on those events. And I'm telling you, this, like he said, this is what we need for our mental health and to keep us happy and to keep us going and chugging every day, man. This is, we can do this as a people and bring that happiness, through those events. Let's live through those events. So do your part to support, even if you're an individual. Give, because finances help. They always help. Trust me, I know, and Spencer knows all about that. So anyway, much love, people. Until next time, tune in next week, this time 10 a.m. on Fridays for Red Rebel Media's Small Business Town Hall. Thank you much. Until next time. Peace.